Bluff City Media presents Tigers Live with Francis Carlota. Join Francis after every Memphis Tiger game as he breaks down each matchup, player of the game, and upcoming games. Now, let's get to the show.
What's going on, y'all? I'm back. Francis Carlotta here, hosting Tigers Live, presented by the Bluff City Collective for Bluff City Media. So, what I miss? It seems like I missed a lot. From the Memphis Tigers getting two big victories, one over Charlotte at home, and then the landmark victory of the season, really so far, against Florida Atlantic at home as well, just last Sunday. And then the whole Malcolm Dandridge stuff. Boy. I picked a bad time to take off doing this show. I picked a bad time, but I'm back. And thankfully, the Tigers showed some form of consistency by getting a big blowout win against a team they should have beaten. Not just should have beaten, that they should have blown out. And they blew out East Carolina 82-58. The game was really never in doubt from start to finish. Memphis looked to be in total control. Yeah, there were moments that frustrating turnovers here and there, but that's just kind of the Memphis Tigers. They're going to commit head-scratching turnovers from really everybody, from David Jones, Javon Quinterly, everybody. Jordan Brown couldn't jump over a piece of paper, but he had that dunk to end the game, so that's good. That's good to see. Good for JB. But yeah, it's a good win, much needed win. So as you'll see, Roman Cleary will be joining the show in just a moment. As soon as I see him, I'll add him to the stream. We'll get going, talking with him about player of the game, getting his full reactions. And just as I say his name, he is here. So let me go ahead and add him to the stream. Give me a sec. Roman, you good?
What's going on, Francis? How you doing?
I'm well, man. I'm well. I'm excited to talk Tigers basketball again. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. It's obviously been a while since you've been here and so much has happened, right? You got the win over FAU, dominating Charlotte, the whole Malcolm thing. Bluff City Media has been accused of colluding with the NCAA, and you got this tonight. So unless you were wondering that you were somehow a jinx to this team, that has been proven wrong with this win for sure.
Let's go. That was a worry of mine. It's like I come back, they play great basketball, and then watch them lay a goose egg against East Carolina, and they lose.
Yeah, because to be honest, I think before this, they were like 2-6 or 2-7 or something like that while you were hosting Tigers Live.
Yeah,
and they were undefeated whenever you had to sit out for one reason or another. So
right,
I think this is a real big vindication for you as well, not just them.
This means a lot to me, Roman. I appreciate you setting that for the record as well. So now it's the record straight. It's not my fault. I am not the reason why Malcolm Dandridge is suspended. I'm not colluding with the NCAA.
Trust me, we're not either. I'm not either.
Yeah, no one is. Like that was insane. I was in one of my study breaks. I just checked the Discord for the first time. I checked the Discord during my time off studying for the bar exam. And I see the stuff about Malcolm, and I'm on my phone for like 45 minutes to an hour trying to read everything because it was nuts to read everything that was going on.
Yeah,
the whole stuff about Bluff City Media, what's obviously going on with Malcolm, the reactions. Oh my goodness, that was crazy. I was just hoping for positivity after the Charlotte win, and I got absolute chaos. Absolute chaos. But whatever, it is what it is. Let's talk this game, Roman. Give me your thoughts, your reactions, high-level stuff. How did you feel about today's win?
Well, I mean, it was a fantastic performance, pretty much perfect on both ends, especially in the second half. I mean, you got I guess, kind of the worry that, okay, we've seen Memphis kind of dominate first halves before. We've seen them kind of control before and take big leads, only to blow them. Of course, the South Florida thing comes to mind. Temple comes to mind as well. But that was not the case tonight. They really just dominated from start to finish. I mean, both teams had a pretty rough start, combined 1 of 11 from the field in the first 5 minutes or so. But after that, Memphis just really took over and never looked back. you had Naquan Tomlin and David Jones really taking over again with 18 points for DJ and 20 for Naquan Tomlin. Javon Cleary wasn't really much of a scoring factor for most of this game. He finished with 10 points, but he really didn't score most of that until the very end. But those 7 assists and 4 steals were still very impactful. It was a really complete team performance, I felt. And even Jaquan Walton, who didn't make much of a scoring impact, he still, made his impact on the stat sheet with 3 boards and a couple assists in 26 minutes. So you really get the sense that this team is starting to come together. They're finally finding a way to win games, even without their starting center and their best defender and their best big man overall. It's just quite impressive stuff. And I'll tell you this, if Memphis keeps playing like this, they're not going to lose in the AAC tournament. They're just not. That's just how it works. I don't think any team in this league is capable of beating Memphis when they're at this high of a level. It remains to be seen whether they actually will, remain playing like this. But I think a performance like this definitely suggests that they will.
Yeah, all great points, Roman, for sure. Just to get to one of them that you said, talking about the past issues with closing games when they have a big lead. What I always noticed was they would build the big first half lead, and the first 5-7 minutes of the second half was really indicative of how the rest of the game was really going to go. Because that's what it just felt like. Memphis, they would go into halftime, and then they would all like take a nap, and they would just relax and not care, and then get back on the floor and just look like zombies on the floor, lethargic zombies. And today it was the complete opposite. They go into the lead, they go into half with a 12-point lead. They come back and boom, they play hard, they make shots. I mean, that's the energy and effort that the Tigers needed to play with in the past during those losing streaks, when they just didn't look to have that extra gear in them. And they had that today. So I'm fully with you on that. I love your points about contribution from across the board. You got a little bit of something from everybody, which is always good. This was really a great team performance. And, I want to ask you, because you talked about Malcolm, and I do agree with you that I think he is the best big on this team. How did you feel about the commentators talking about how the Tigers maybe are better without Malcolm Dandridge, offensively or defensively? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you can definitely see their point, because it gives Naquan Tomlin obviously more opportunities to play the 5. And let's just be honest, Naquan Tomlin is a more talented player than Malcolm Dandridge. He offers more on both ends of the floor, at least in terms of, pure skill, talent, and ability. I still think Malcolm is a more polished player on the defensive end of the floor, but Malcolm's absence, as unfortunate as it is, has really allowed Naquan Tomlin to shine that much more. So if people feel that way, I can't blame them. I still think Malcolm would provide something to this team that they currently lack right now, which is, of course, shot blocking and protection at the rim. I still think that would, take a boost up if he were there. But Malcolm also allows Memphis to play faster, which is more their strength anyway. Him being out allows Memphis to play faster. So I'm definitely open to the possibility that they might be better without Malcolm, but I'm going to slightly disagree with that as of now.
And I'm Roman, again, well said. I'm actually totally with you. You're not going to get a big debate from me. I think what you can get from Malcolm is you basically take away the Jordan Brown minutes, you replace those with Malcolm Dandridge minutes, and you get much better production. You get energy, you get defense, rebounding, and a better ability to finish at the rim as well. Like Dandridge has shown to be a better finisher this year, at least around the rim. And I think back to the Tulane game when they played Tulane at home. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Malcolm played about 10 minutes that game. Like, he didn't play a lot. But if I remember, he still made impact. And that's really what I would want from Malcolm, because I do believe that there's something to what Mark Adams was saying. Tomlin has more freedom. Jordan has more freedom. And who are those types of centers? The type of centers that Penny Hardaway loves: active, energetic, athletic, rim runners, cutters, can rebound, block shots, but they're not stagnant. Like Penny loves bigs who are not stagnant. And unfortunately, there are times where Malco can be stagnant. And again, he was great this year. He was great to start the year, and I'm with you. I think he is the best big man on the team. But for the type of offense and the type of team that Penny wants to put on the floor, I think Tomlin and giving him more freedom. Jordan, he played great today, and I've been critical of him in the past. I think this is probably the best basketball Memphis is playing right now. And you said that if they play like this, you don't think they lose again. I agree with you, man. If they keep this level up, there's no reason that the Tigers can't win out and that they can't win the AC tournament, which is wild for us to sit here and say just after the SMU loss, where it felt like the sky was falling.
and at this point, I think they're going to end up getting that top 4 bye. I think they're going to find a way to get there at this point, because they're going to tie UAB if they beat them on Sunday. And UAB, they still have that tiebreaker right now because they have a win over South Florida. And the way the American tiebreaker works is that, like, if the head-to-head is even or whatever, the best record against the team that's at the top of the conference standings would get the edge. And UAB, they have a win over South Florida. So because of that, they actually still have that tiebreaker over Memphis, even if Memphis beats them on Sunday. But if you enter a 3-way tie with SMU, there you have Memphis getting that tiebreaker and subsequently entering that Final Four. So if Memphis is able to win their final 2 regular season games, I think there's a good chance that they end up in that top 4, especially considering that Florida Atlantic, they got to face both Tulane and North Texas before they get Memphis again. And Tulane has obviously not been playing all that well lately, but Tulane is a team that's still among the most talented in the league, and they can turn it on at pretty much any time. And North Texas, it's extremely hard to win there, especially when the Mean Green are healthy. They just got CJ Nolan and Reuben Jones back. Right. And I know they lost to UTSA, but that was the first game Nolan and Jones both came back. So there was some adjustment that had to be there for that. But assuming that North Texas is fully settled into having all their guys back by the time that FAU game comes around, that's going to be a really tough win for Florida Atlantic, in my opinion. So Memphis could go into that game in Boca Raton with a chance to beat FAU and actually leapfrog them in the AAC standings, which would almost certainly put them into the top 4. You also have, the scenario where Charlotte loses 2 of their last 3, and Memphis would, of course, have the tiebreaker there. So I think there are just one too many scenarios at this point for Memphis to not get into that top 4. It looked pretty bleak recently as a week ago, but because of recent developments in the AAC combined with Memphis's improved play, I really do feel good about the Tigers getting a top 4 bye there in that tournament.
Come on, Roman, don't do this to me, man. Don't. You're giving me that hope again. You're giving me the intrigue and the want, and I love it. I love hope. I'm all about hope, and
I mean,
like I said,
Penny Hardaway, not me. This is what he does. He pulls off this voodoo magic in February.
It's that time of year, I guess, where he, like you said, pulls off this voodoo magic. Hopefully, I'm with you, man. Hopefully, they can find a way to at least get into the top 4 and get that first round bye, because we all know how vital that is to finding success in the conference tournament. I wanted to get your thoughts too on the performance from Javon Quinterly. I know as a scorer, like you mentioned, he didn't really get most of his 10 points or really all of it till kind of latter half of the second half, where the game was in full control. But he was an incredible playmaker. He made some awesome passes, and really it felt like he was still playing within himself and playing controlled. What did you think of his game today?
I mean, this is the reason why Javon Quinterly popped up on that Bob Cousy nominee list earlier this year. When he is engaged, when he is, playing at his best, there are few point guards in this country that are better than JQ at this point. I know that he has looked very bad at times. He had a very bad stretch as recently as a few weeks ago. But when JQ's on, there are far fewer that you would rather have playing that one spot. So it doesn't shock me at all. JQ's also been known as a guy that has been clutch later in the season. Played his best ball late in the season last year at Alabama. Had a few really good games in the NCAA tournament for them. And he looks to be doing something similar here right now with Memphis.
Yeah, well said. Well said. It's It's a theme that I've been harping on for a while. Javon Quinterly, I think he's the most important player for the Memphis Tigers. The offense goes as he goes. If he's locked in, if he's finding teammates, if he's getting to the rim, finishing at the basket, knocking down open threes. I don't think he hit a three today. I might be wrong. Maybe he hit one. Let me actually check.
No, he was 0 for 5 from 3.
Nope. 0 for 5, yeah. So, didn't hit a three today, but he still had open looks. And if he just knocks down a couple of them, he's got 16 points instead of 10. He's still got good looks. But as he goes, this offense goes, and basically the Tigers go, because we know how good they can be on defense. But sometimes that half-court offense can get kind of stagnant and get iffy. But if he's locked in and he's playing really well and being in command of the offense, I mean, this is exactly what, like you said, it's why he was on the Cousy Award list. And with David Jones playing like the way he did today, I mean, dang, this Tigers team is really on fire. So, talking about the other players, Roman, give me your player of the game. You got some people, you got some options.
Ooh.
You got some options.
Okay, I'll go with David Jones because he really held it down for both halves. Tomlin got really hot in the second half, but I think David Jones was the more consistent player in both halves, so I'll give it to them. Of course, he finishes with 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists, and a few steals as well, if I'm not mistaken. I want to point to the rotation before I get out of here, because I know you're probably about to let me go in a second. I want to point to this rotation. We talked about this after the Temple game, if you remember, a few weeks ago. I was clamoring for the 5-6-man rotation, and you kind of doubted me there a little bit, and I understand why, but look at this tonight. JQ, 34 minutes. David Jones, 35. Naquan Tomlin, 30. 26 for both Walton and Jourdain. After that, the player with the second highest minutes was Jordan Brown with 15. Playing your best players for extended periods of time wins you basketball games, and more often than not, they will help you win them in dominant fashion. And honestly, the most important thing about this being a blowout win for Memphis is that it should drastically improve their computer numbers, improve their net ranking, improve their KenPom ranking, which will, I think, play a really big factor in whether or not they get back into at-large contention, which is actually still possible. We kind of ruled it out because we assumed they were done, but it was never technically impossible. And we're seeing that right now with the way that they're playing. If they can get back into the top 60 of the net, I'm interested to see where they will stand in terms of the bracketology rankings and whatnot. Perhaps because those computer numbers are a bit better, these bracketologists will give them a bit more of the benefit of the doubt, combined with the still 6 wins in quads 1 and 2 that they currently have there.
Yeah, all good points. All good points. So my pushback with the rotation thing was you can start doing it now, but to do it for such a prolonged period of time was what worries me. But now I'm with you, Roman. Shorten the rotation, cut it short, and we're seeing it work perfectly. I mean, it's at this point, it's not rocket science. It's February. It's about to be the AAC tournament. Play your best players, period. It's that simple. Like it is that simple. And I think Penny, this is just kind of what he does, right? This is just what he does. Now, as the season gets later on, then now he's going to shorten the rotation, even though we've been asking him to do that for weeks. For weeks, it's been brought up in press conferences and everything for weeks. And now he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then we're wondering when. And now he's doing it. Now he's shortening the rotation. Now Memphis has gotten some genuine momentum. You know, I tweeted this last night when I was a little, I was drunk. So when I tweeted this, but I was concerned about this game because it just feels like the typical MO for this Tigers team to have 2 big wins and then to go on the road against a bad team and lay a goose egg and lose. It just felt like that's how the season has been going for this roster, for Penny. That's just how it's been. And if they were to get a big win today, that is more of a sign that this team has turned a corner, dare I say it, turned a corner, than the FAU and Charlotte wins. Obviously, those are massive wins, and I'm very happy they happen. But today, and I also loved seeing the bench reactions too, how engaged everyone was. Everyone seemed to play with energy and seemed to be engaged into the actual basketball game. That's what I'm looking for, man. That's what I want to see. I want people to actually give a damn about playing the game of basketball and supporting their teammates. And that happened today. and hopefully they can keep that going. My play of the game, I'm gonna give it to Naquan Tomlin. I'll give it to Naquan. 7 for 8 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, 20 points, 2 blocks, 5 boards, 1 assist. It's just been so good over the past few games. I'll have Kenny on after the break, and we've talked a lot about where's that dog? Where's that energy guy? Where's the guy who's going to show emotion? That's been Tomlin. Like, I think he's really been setting the tone for the rest of the roster from top to bottom. Because again, I just talked about even the dudes on the bench were excited, getting hyped. This is what we're looking for. He's been the spark needed for this team, and he's been fantastic. He's the Naquan Tomlin we thought we were going to get when he transferred to Memphis in December, and he's been fantastic. So I'll give it to Naquan. David Jones also was phenomenal. You can just give player of the game David Jones like every game because he's incredible. So yeah, I know you got to do your recap really briefly, Roman. I want to ask you this brief question.
Okay.
From the bottom of your heart, do you really think this is for real? Do you really think this is sustainable? Or do you still need to wait, see if you need to see them to beat UAB and like beat a bad team again? Or are you now back like, all right, this is real. I think this team has turned the corner.
I mean, I don't see how it's not real at this point. They beat the doors off of a Charlotte team that was second place in the AAC heading into that game. Then they beat the best team in the league besides them in Florida Atlantic. And then they go at East Carolina. Yes, it's a bad opponent, but they beat the doors off of them, which is something that they haven't been able to do pretty much all season long. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't care about South Florida because they are a concern. They've played very well, but at the end of the day, Memphis and Florida Atlantic are still the 2 biggest threats in this league, and I think that's really going to show as we get later on in the season. Even if South Florida doesn't lose again until the AAC tournament, I just still think that the talent is going to prevail there, and Memphis is they're definitely getting hot at the right time here. Even it is a little bit late, but still getting hot at the right time.
Well, what's the saying, Roman? Better late than never is literally how the saying goes. But thank you, bro. Always, I'm just happy to be back talking Tiger basketball with you. Get to your recap. You do awesome stuff. Thank you so much, and I'll see everyone on the other side of this commercial break.
For this past week, it not only kept that 1% hope alive, I think that percentage has grown because you see them beat Florida Atlantic, you realize they can beat just about anybody in conference if they can beat that team.
Yeah, and we've known this. They haven't shown that in quite a while, but we've known the whole year that Memphis is really at their best, at their peak max powers. They're capable of beating pretty much any team in college basketball. I believe that. I mean, they have very quality wins. They've went in tough environments and won games against quality opponents. Like, Memphis can beat a lot of top 25 teams in the country probably. They're just that good on paper. But for whatever reason, they only show up at certain times.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
What else happened over these last 2 games that makes you go, that explains the change?
Specifically yesterday was him riding his starting 5. There wasn't a starter yesterday that played less than 30 minutes.
Which is incredible, right?
It's
Simple,
incredible
right?
for 2 reasons. It's incredible because I think that's the first time, and it was February 25th that happened.
Right.
It's also incredible because, we just actually did it. Like,
when you play your best players,
good things happen.
Really good things happen.
Confidence is huge, and when you're allowed to continue to play through stuff, like, your confidence is there, you play harder. When you're out there and you're thinking you're going to get subbed in the first 2 minutes, or dudes you're not used to playing with are coming in, like, I can see dudes just either not giving it all, or it'd be just kind of be like.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back, everybody, to Tigers Live. I am joined by the illustrious Kenny Stubblefield. Kenny, what's good, bro?
Illustrious is a strong word, Francis. But hey, it's good to have you back, man. Listen,
Thanks,
we
bro.
had some scrub, unprofessional dude named Gabe Kuhn who hosted the show for 2 weeks while you were gone, or 2 games while you were gone, and the show is literally about to implode upon itself. And
Oh
so,
my God.
it's good to have you back, man.
Look, I know it's all jokes. No, I listen. I still listen to it too. So Gabe was great.
You should know how we feel about you and how good of a job you do on this show when the first person that we call is Gabe Kuhn to take your place. Like, hey, dude, that's got a daily radio show on the biggest radio station in the city of Memphis. Can you come and fill in for Francis?
Yeah.
That's how that works.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Gabe did an awesome job. I listened to the shows, even though I couldn't watch and then I still listened to him. And he did he's the man. Gabe's the dude. We all know that. Kenny, it's good to see you.
I have a question for you. If we need some in-house legal counsel soon, can we come to you? Is that what we're dealing with here?
I unfortunately no, because I would be barred in Tennessee.
Come on.
Could I review some stuff and just be like, hey, this is what I think. Yeah. I don't represent you, but this is what I think. Maybe.
I was like, we might go to use Francis. How'd it go, man? How was the studying for the bar? How'd it go?
Dude, it sucks studying for the bar exam, man. You just have to lock in. And obviously I didn't study for only 2 weeks or a week for the bar. I was studying before and everything. Yeah, I know, just that everyone else, just for the clarity's sake. It's just been a lot of head down grinding, and just making sure I'm prepared. Kind of like the Tigers, I wanted to be peaking at the right time. I wanted to find my peak as I got closer to the test. Yeah. And I feel like what I did the past couple of days was my best. It was my best performance. And
as the Tigers have clearly needed a little bit of adversity and drama to peak at the right time, to play their best basketball of the year. Did you have any drama that happened during the last couple of weeks of your peaking time of studying?
I mean, no, nothing during the last couple of weeks. Thankfully, my amazing wife kept the house all in order. So the big one was the big hectic thing was we moved apartments because our old place had a mold issue. Like my wife was getting sick because of the mold. I started getting sick because of it too, and the landlords didn't do jack shit about it. They didn't do anything, and they would clean it, but that doesn't do much, and it was a problem. So we had to get up and leave fast. We found a new place, and thankfully we're all settled. We're more adjusted. We're not living totally out of boxes, and I have my amazing wife to thank for being so helpful while I'm studying. And I felt so bad that it couldn't be as much of a help. I was helpful for moving stuff here, but when it was all in the place, a lot of it was my wife because I had to study. So,
but let's be real though, honestly, that tends to happen when you have a significant other in the house with you, man. Just kind of let them do their thing, when it comes to decorating the house. You're just gonna look, this is my gear cabinet behind me. It's just stuff just tossed. It's not. There's no point or any process to it. It's just tossed back there just to live. So, no, it's all good, man. But it's good to have you back for real.
No, I really appreciate it. It's great to be back. Feels good to be back talking about Tiger basketball, and happy to be back talking to you, man. So, look, give me your thoughts about this game. Are you on the same train of thought as Roman is about the Tigers and their future? I know that's a compound question, but how are you feeling?
Well, in terms of this game, I think you made the point in the first segment that I thought was super interesting, that this was the game, I think, in all of the rest of them, all of these last 5 games of the year, the Charlotte, the FAU, UAB, and the other FAU game, this ECU game was probably the one that you would take a litmus test on where the Tigers are, right? At home or away from home, on the road with a team that clearly has nothing to play for outside of waiting to get into the tournament. They're probably going to end up playing a tough seed in the tournament, in the AAC tournament. So more than likely won't make it out of that first round. This is, and I know in our Discord tonight, everybody was like, stop calling these games the Super Bowls. But in a lot of ways, this was ECU Super Bowl. And what we've noticed about the Tigers and what we've seen about the Tigers is when it comes to those kind of games, especially on the road, Tigers struggle to get up, right? Or they just kind of get sloppy and allow the opposite team, the clearly inferior team, to kind of get an upper hand in terms of the momentum. And by the time the Tigers start turning it on, it's too late. Well, that was clearly not what happened tonight. And I think that in terms of the litmus test of where this Tigers team is, I think that we can feel extremely, and Tiger fans can feel extremely comfortable with where this team is in terms of their, hope moving forward as they face off in a revenge game at home against UAB and then on the road in Boca, and as my good friend Trey Lasley over at Tigers Untapped said, in front of the 116 rowdy Boca Raton Onions that are going to be there at the game. So, it's going to be an interesting last couple of weeks of this season, I think. Well, maybe not last couple of weeks, but last couple
I know, I get what you mean.
Last stretch of games for the Tigers. I said this on the show too, that this week on Untapped, it was one of the clips that was played in the commercial that I feel like what we're seeing out of this Tigers team is them playing their best ball of the season, and also that it feels more sustainable than what the Tigers were even doing during their 15-2 non-conference, right? Yeah. Like, this feels like a sustainable level of play for this Tigers team. Now, obviously, there are things that are going to happen, whether it be turnovers, rebounding, shooting from from beyond the arc. There's going to be things that change game to game, but in terms of what they're doing on the defensive end of the floor and how they're utilizing their rotations and their roster and their lineups, it feels very much like this is a sustainable thing for the Tigers.
Yeah, I'm willing to. Man, maybe it's just because I haven't been as obviously locked in. I watched the replays of the FAU and the Charlotte game, so I obviously know what happened and all of that stuff. I still want to see them whoop a UAB, and then I'll be fully there, and then I will have no reservations about their ability to go play in the MUS gym and beat Florida Atlantic. Like I'll have no reservations.
MUS's gym is bigger than Boca Raton.
I know. So that was honestly probably too much of a compliment.
White Station High School's gym is bigger than the Owl's Nest.
Yeah. That's what a horrible name for a gym, by the way.
Come on, bro.
Oh my God. But I get it. Their mascot's an owl. Anyway, I want to see them beat UAB again, just like they beat ECU, with no question, no shadow of a doubt, nothing at all. And then I'll be like, all right, cool. I'm bought in. Let's rock. Let's do it. Let's go to Florida Atlantic. Let's beat them again, no matter how much they beat them by. Let's go beat them again, get a quad 1 win, get a top 4 seed in the AAC tournament, and let's rock. Let's rock. Let's do it. Let's roll the ball out. And if the Tigers are playing like this, entering the AAC tournament, and they have a first round bye, I'm with you. I'm with you with Roman. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get that automatic bid, and let's be a bid stealer.
Roman is so smart. Roman is so smart. Like when he starts talking about the ways in which, I think he even tweeted about it today, the ways in which the Tigers can get that first round bye. I'm like going, what the hell are you talking about? Like I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. So I heard him say this in the first segment, like how it could happen and the ninja math that he did in his brain. But man, I'm telling you, like the Tigers could easily get there. And even if they don't, man, like 4 games in 4 days, okay, cool. Let's go do it. Let's get to it. Let's get down to business.
Yeah. I care more about them just playing well entering the tournament. Obviously, I would love a first round bye, top 4, all that stuff. But if they win, if they beat UAB, beat Florida Atlantic, and they don't get the 4th seed because of, for whatever reason they don't get the 4th seed.
Right.
Whatever. Like, it is what it is. Like, you can only control what you can control. That's it.
Mhm.
That's it. And I they keep playing like this, man. It was really impressive to see. It was a really good game. I'm looking at the comments here, and y'all have been popping for a while. And I'm sorry for not getting to them earlier on. Shout out to everyone at the 3 to Hardaway pod.
Let's go.
Hardaway # just win. Just win, baby. Just win games.
If you're a fan of basketball podcasts, check out 3 the Hardaway podcast. It is fire. So check it out.
Took the words out of my mouth, man. They're awesome guys. They're all awesome people. I was lucky to be a guest on their show before. They're studs. They know their ball. They know their NBA. So if you don't know them, y'all better know them. Shout out to Coach Kelly again. I appreciate you welcoming me back, my guy. Appreciate you. Your comment about shortened rotation, that's the key to shortening the rotation. The most important part. The rhythm and flow wasn't forced; it came naturally. Amen to that. That's literally why it's so vital for Penny to shorten the rotation. It just felt like hockey substitutions at times. It felt forced. There didn't seem to be any rhyme or reason as to why Jonathan Pierre just got subbed in with Jordan Brown and Ashton Hardaway gets subbed in with Jaden Hardaway. It just didn't seem to make sense why substitutions were happening. Now the rotation is shorter and they're playing better. They seem to know each other better on the floor too. They seem to be playing more together. Kenny, is it that simple that this is the shortened rotation is really the biggest reason why they've been playing so well? Is it that simple?
I think it's 2 things.
Okay.
We talked about it. We've talked about it on all of our shows on Bluff City Media for the last few months. We got called arrogant for some of the things that we were saying by fans, which is fine. We can be arrogant at times, but
okay, sure.
But I think it comes down to 2 simple things, and I think that it is the shortened rotations because it allows for players to catch a rhythm. The FAU game is a perfect example. Javon Quinterly, right? Started out the game 0 for 4 from the 3-point line, and I think he was 1 for 9 for his first 9 shots from the field in the game. The only backup to Javon Quinterly, who would come in and he would spell a minute here, a minute there, added quite a bit of energy defensively. Everybody's seen the picture that's out there. It is an awesome picture that was taken of him. But Javon Quinterly was able to see his way through that struggle, right? That trying to catch a rhythm. Basketball players don't catch rhythms sitting on the bench, being subbed in and out, being taken out. Hoopers they catch a rhythm by playing the game of basketball. And so obviously shortened rotations, kind of knowing that you have 5, 6 main guys and that you are that you're going to play and you're going to play a lot. And even if you make a mistake, you're going to play. That's huge. I think the second thing is this. Penny, and I think my guy King Meek said this. It's somewhere up here. Here it is. I'll show it real quick. He said, I say Penny has grown a lot more lately in the last few games, and I totally agree with that. And I think one of the major ways that you've seen him grow is his ability to walk away from his his intuition in terms of like what he wants to have his teams look like, but being able to say, okay, this team isn't that. Like, what do we know about Penny Hardaway Francis? From the culture of his team is what? It's defense, right? He wants to create as much offense as he can from his defense. And so what he does is he tries to force turnovers. He tries to pressure the ball. He tries to speed the game up. That is his formula for success for every team he's ever had here at Memphis. And this team isn't that team. They don't have the defensive guys to be able to do what he wants to do. But he was, for a large part of the game, a large part of the season, he's kind of stuck with that. Like, I want to be that, so I'm going to force this to happen. And you see this defense being literally one of the worst defenses that Penny has ever had, because of that. Because these guys are not scramblers. These guys are not guys who can who make reactionary, quick, instinctual decisions on the defensive side of the floor, and they turn out well for the Tigers, like an Alex Lomax used to do, right?
Yeah.
Like a DeAndre Williams used to do. They're not those guys defensively. So what Penny has done is, in the last 3 games, is said, okay, get your ass back to half court, put your ass in the floor, and let's defend. Right? Like, guard your yard, as he has said so many times this season. And that's what's happened. And it has worked. Like, how many points did they give up? They gave up 58 points today. They gave up 52 against Charlotte.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're talking like monumentally better numbers for this Tigers defense than they've seen all year. And it's because they have really, I think Penny has grown a lot in his decision-making of saying, you know what, man, I want to do this, but this is not the team for that. Let me get them in a position to where we're not going to get burned. What I also just awesome points, 100%. I think what you're saying about the defense is something I want to elaborate on that, because I tweeted about 10 or so minutes into the first half, and I said there is no reason for Memphis to be pressing East Carolina. There is no reason, because their half-court defense has been locked on. Did you get to watch the FAU game at all? Sorry,
not live. Like I said, I watched the replay. I didn't get to watch it live, but I watched the replay.
Tell me, Penny's defense didn't have FAU in hell the entire game. Like, it was so strategic what he was doing, and he had their guards. He had Elijah Martin and John L. Davis. Like, I've got a video. I set the camera on John L. Davis on the bench for like a minute and a half, and the entire minute in the first half, and the entire minute and a half was him having a childlike toddler event on the bench because he was so frustrated. Like that, he put them through hell in that game. So yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But keep going.
No, you're good. No, you're good. And I said that about 10 minutes through the first half, and the reason why I said it was because they were locked in on defense in the half court, and East Carolina would get easy buckets as a result of Memphis pressuring. And when I say Memphis pressuring, I mean being all the way up, like all the way. No, like it's basically like a all-out blitz in football, like just all the way up. And East Carolina would just pass, or they had that out-of-bounds play where Jaquan just fronted the wrong way, and he just ran to the side, and they got an easy alley-oop.
Right.
Just little stuff like that. And I've heard this from commentators in the past with Tigers games. They'd say, with the way Memphis plays defense, they can allow any team to get back into a game. And then, when you think about that on the surface, that doesn't make sense. But then when you think about it more, like, oh, okay, it's because they press so hard that if a team can just pass out of the press, they can get very easy baskets. Right. And that's how a team could get back into the game, because Memphis is always going to be pressing. What I've noticed recently is what you said. They're more willing to get back, guard their yard, put their butt down and defend. But I like Penny also mixing things up.
Yeah,
he still presses, but he doesn't do it the whole game. Nor does he always. If he does press, nor is he always going to be all up in your face, all out blitz press. He does token pressure just to speed the other team up, to get the shot clock to get down to about 15 seconds before they can even get into their offense. I like the way he's forming his defensive scheme. It's like, I'm a Michigan football fan, and they had one of the best defenses in college football. And because they disguise their blitzes better than any other team in college football, Penny is kind of doing the same thing. He's kind of disguising his defenses and keeping the other team completely off balance with how they want to attack Penny's system and his defensive scheme. It's worked wonders so far. And I think that's kind of how you have to do it with this roster. And what I'm loving in the half court too is they're communicating. You can see them talking. You can see them point switching, not like, you go here, I'm going to go here. There are a few, the moments where I see defensive lapses is individual coverages. Like that's when I see a defensive lapse. It's not, haven't seen much team lapses. And I think they've just been locked in and glued. And then that's a huge thing. Like it's a big thing that, big reason why Memphis
put a
has
bow
definitely gotten better.
And to put a bow on that, I think you're 100% right, but to put a bow on it, one of the things that Penny has also done is he mix and matches when he utilizes that pressure or that token defense, that token pressure defense, with when he's got different guys on the floor instead of having your guys who are your heavy lifters and on the offensive side of the floor having to also then pressure the ball the entire time they're in the game. He's bringing in a Joe Cooper and turning the defense up. He's bringing in a Jaden Hardaway or a Carl Charenfant and turning the defense up. You know, he's not making Javon Quinterly be the orchestrator on offense and also the hammer on defense. Right.
Being the front of a press or something. Yeah.
Right. He's allowing a guy like Joe Cooper, who's not going to give you anything on the offensive side of the floor, to come in and create hell on the defensive side of the floor. Like that is a level of sophisticated coaching adjustments that I think needs to be praised for Penny Hardaway over the last few weeks.
Agreed. And I'm also liking, you mentioned Javon Quinterly. I think the way he's also been utilizing him defensively has contributed to him just being a better individual defender. I mean, tonight he had 4 steals, and he was praised constantly by the commentators of how good his defensive positioning was today. And you could, if you just watching the game, watching JQ play on ball defense early on the season, he looked like a turnstile. Like he just, do
you know where he struggled the most? Was on the pick and roll defense.
Oh,
and you saw it today, man. And again, what is pick and roll defense all about? Is communicating. Are you
communicating?
Is my big hedging? Is he? Are we switching? What are we doing here? Like are we drop coverage? What are we going to do? Like this team feels so much more locked in defensively, which has in turn allowed a guy who this year has notoriously been a traffic cone on defense to become a guy who's doing things on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I like seeing how I think JQ is doing a better job with his on-ball defense, predicting where his man's about to go. He does a much better job of cutting off the drive, like preemptively cutting off a drive, but also recovering if the guy who he's guarding tries to cross over or go the other way. He's just done a better job moving his feet. And what is defense, Kenny? We've talked about it for weeks. What is defense? Effort and energy. Yeah. Move your damn feet. Move your feet. Keep your arms wide and move your feet. Because if you don't move your feet, you don't shuffle. And what's like a cardinal rule of a bad defender? If you see the defender's feet like get really close to each other, that's like the cardinal sin of defending. You always keep your feet wide, keep the base, and shuffle. Don't cross your feet. Don't keep them close together. Shuffle. Get low and shuffle. And you're seeing that so much more from Javon Quinterly as a defender, and the effort's just there. It's really good to see. It's impressive. I hope it's sustainable. Like I just keep coming back to it. I hope it's sustainable.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is. I really do. I do think that this is a sustainable thing for the Tigers. And I think even Roman, or maybe you brought it up in the first segment, talking about Javon and his proclivities towards end of the year tournament Javon Quinterly.
Yeah, it was Roman. Yeah, Roman. Yeah.
Right. And I wonder, you remember last year in the AAC tournament, DeAndre and Kendrick going bananas, especially that UCF game. I think they scored like 37 straight points together for the Tigers. They had like 65 points combined out of a total of 79 or 75 or something like that.
It reminded me of LeBron and Kyrie in the 2016
wild.
Finals. That's what it reminded me of. Yeah,
it was wild. Their whole tournament was wild. Like it was just unbelievable the numbers they were producing. And I'm wondering, like, are we going to see this? Is this going to be you're seeing Naquan Tomlin become the guy who everybody thought he was going to be when he joined, right? Imagine how difficult it is to join a team midseason that has already gone 15-2 in the non-conference. They're top 10 in the country. Imagine how difficult it is to join that team and try to be the guy that everybody like was pinning the hopes of the season on, right? Like there's got to be a level of pressure there that we can't, in layman's terms, layman's ways, we don't understand what that feels like. And it has been really cool to see Naquan kind of become the guy, right? Like he's the energy guy, he's the vocal leader, he's the doing a bunch of dirty work. I know it's been in the chat, but they gave up a lot of offensive rebounds tonight, which is not good. But he's been rebounding the ball better than I thought he would. He's been, getting a lot of dirty buckets. And I'm like, man, you get David Jones, Naquan peaking at the right time, and tournament Javon. Oh my gosh. Like, what is this going to look like in Fort Worth?
Yeah. It'll feel like a real big three. It'll feel like a legitimate big three. If they start peaking like this and start playing like the way they have recently or on a consistent basis, it'll feel like a legitimate big three that should win the conference tournament. They keep playing like this.
Let me ask you this question. Roster for roster across the board. Well, let's go big three. All right. Does this Tigers team, when they put their starting five against any other team in the conference on the floor together, is this big three far and away the best in the conference in terms of talent level, in terms of skill sets? What do you think?
When you say far and away, that's where I can't meet you there, because I still, I don't know how to pronounce the big man's name for Florida Atlantic. I don't know how to say it.
Just call him Vlad. Just call him Vlad.
Vlad. Yeah, I'll call him Vlad. Right. Vlad is awesome. He's really, really good. I mean, obviously we saw it against Memphis. Elijah Martin and John L. Davis are their big three, and I think that's still a really, really darn good big three. John L. Davis is he's a good basketball player.
He's a stud.
He's a really good player. Elijah Martin also is still a really good player. So I don't know if I go far and away. I think I would bias aside. I think I would give the slight edge to Memphis and how they're playing now, how they're peaking and how they're starting to really come together and figure out how to play together, not just come together as people, but figuring out how to play together. You're seeing David Jones pass the ball and actually find his teammates for open looks at the rim, open looks from three. Like he had some nice passes to Javon Quinterly, who he didn't make a three today. But if he made a couple of those threes from decent extra passes from David Jones, he could have had 7 assists. He had 5 today. And that is a sign to me that these guys are getting to know each other on the basketball floor, getting comfortable with each other on the basketball floor. It only took 28 games. But
I'll say this. I saw somebody say, King Meeks put in here, he said, do you feel like they're finally coming together as a team and gelling as a team? And I would say this, I just think that the idea of the Tigers team not gelling, coming together as a team, I think a lot of that was, and we've given Penny his flowers in a lot of ways tonight, right? But I think in some ways that whole conversation was more of a projection thing than it was reality by Penny Hardaway, because I think Penny wasn't comfortable with his team. I think Penny didn't know what to do. Penny didn't know who he could play at certain times. He didn't know how they would mesh. Like he had his things that he wants to do, and he couldn't understand why they couldn't do it. Right? Like I think that and I think that Penny is now starting to realize how this team ticks, what what makes them work well together, what lineups play well together. I do think this team obviously has needed to gel, right? They needed to. They're all brand new players, mostly the guys who are getting the big minutes. But for all intents and purposes, and what I've seen out of this team is these guys have never not been closely connected. They've always been connected. They've always been together. But I think Penny has finally started to realize how to coach these guys and how to get the best out of them each game to game. That's where I'm at on that.
Yeah, great point. Very well said. It's all learning experience for everybody, man. If we could just rub some pixie dust over the team
Of
and
course, yeah.
poof, their shoes are gone, we would. But it's
Yeah.
always a learning experience for coaches, staff, players, everybody. And
Hey,
I
I
think
want
they're
to
figuring
say
it
this real quick. Daniel Greer, host of the Grizz 901 postgame shows in here.
Yes, sir.
Daniel's he says, I guess the Tigs won tonight. Daniel hasn't seen a win in a very long time because he hosts the Grizz 901 postgame shows. So
Ooh.
I wanted to hey, Daniel, welcome to a chat and to a live postgame where teams actually win. I just want to throw that
Dang.
out there. Yeah.
Dang, that's you say that because my only Memphis thing I have is my Grizzlies thing behind me.
Good to have you. Good to have you, Daniel. Welcome to a winners post game show.
Yeah, it's it does feel good to have a winning. Like, look, from my perspective, a loss for the Grizzlies is a win for me because I want that draft pick. So I don't even get that. I know what's going to happen. This is going to come out and people are going to be like, "Oh, look, Memphis Tigers hate the Memphis Grizzlies." No, I'm joking. No. I'm totally joking. He said, "Oh, if your internet breaks and we see balloons on your screen." Hold on, let me see if I can get it, Daniel. Did it do it? Have you seen this before? Like on StreamYard, if you like do like a real quick like facial expression or you do that, it sends balloons up on the screen or it gives you a thumbs up. Yeah, it's wild. Anyway. Wow. No, I didn't know that was a thing. That's pretty funny. I mean, thankfully, I have better internet now. Thankfully, like my stuff ain't lagging and I'm not frozen all the time. So thankfully, I'm literally right next to the internet. It's to my left. So if I have bad internet, bad.
So what you're telling me is the mold was eating your internet in the old apartment. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, 100%, 100%. I want to talk about JQ a little more because I thought about this in the first half, and I didn't get a chance to bring it up. Shout out to the comments again, Coach Kelly. My player of the game is JQ because when DJ hit Jordan with that fantastic bounce pass for the score, JQ said, "Watch this," with some dimes of his own, 10 points, 7 assists, 2 turnovers, good point guard stats. And D'Angelo Halo, shout out to you. JQ may not be scoring as much, but his assists and running the point like he should, they've been looking good. Said in the first part, and I just want to bring up a point that I wanted to mention before. The turning point for me, for Javon Quinterly's season, is the Wichita State game. That the game at home against Wichita State. That's my turning point for his season because think back to how piss poor he was offensively. He couldn't throw a rock into the ocean against Wichita State.
1 for 13, I think.
He was like overall he was 1 for 13. And I'm gonna get to that 1 of the 13 in a moment. But for the whole game, he was terrible. He couldn't score. He was missing easy layups at the rim, finishes that he could do in his sleep. He looked like a monster took his town. He just didn't look the same guy. But what did he do when he realized he couldn't shoot? Dish the rock, play make, get other people involved. You saw 2 back-to-back pick and rolls with him and Jordan. And he found Jordan on rolls, and Jordan finishes, both of them. And that was the sign to me that JQ mentally was like, all right, I know I'm not shooting, but I have to find another way to impact this basketball game, to positively impact the game. And he did. And I think he's been doing that. You know, he still had a couple games where he hasn't been the Javon Quinterly that we want him to be. We know he can be. But I think since then, he's been better, especially since that 4-game losing streak. He's been better. And that's part of it's what I mentioned was mentioned in the chat. He's been focusing more as a playmaker. And I've talked about this at length so many times. He's the only good playmaker on this team. He's the only one. So if he's not doing it, you're not going to get it from anywhere else. Now, you got 5 assists from David Jones today. So, like, I'm just going to throw a parade. That was awesome. They had 5 assists from David Jones. But I'm not going to count on that for the rest of the year. So it's really JQ as your playmaker. And if he's focusing on that, if he's getting other people involved, if he's breaking down defenders, finding the guy, finding the open man, and running the offense at a high level, dude, that's why he was on the Bob Cousy Award watch list, because that's who he is. Like that that turning point, the Wichita State game, is the turning point for me for Jamon Quinterly.
Dog,
Focusing
like,
on playmaking, he's been great.
This is not. I mean, this is Javon Quinterly we're talking about. Like, yes, like this guy he's taken 2 different college teams to deep runs in the NCAA tournament. Now, I know this last year's Alabama team had Brandon freaking Miller on it. So, yes, like it's different level. Like, right, we're talking Brandon Miller. But damn, dude, like this dude is like, folks have just written JQ off as if it's as if he is not that dude. And you were right, man. When he's out there and he's got the ball in his hands, I trust when JQ has the ball in his hands. You know, they obviously there are moments where, you know, bad angles, threads the ball in places that it shouldn't be. Like those things happen. Like we got to get past this idea that one turnover or one bad trip up and down the court determine or affect the entirety of someone's game, right? Like this guy he's struggled shooting, but man, he is a legit playmaker. There is so much, I get so much joy out of watching really good point guards.
Oh,
like,
yes. Yeah, man.
I mean,
just good passers. I love watching good passers.
Just playmakers, facilitators, right? Like, and it's like when JQ has the ball in his hands, the team just plays better on the offensive side of the floor. They just do. And so, yeah, man, like it has been awesome to see after post SMU game, the way that almost the entire team quit outside of David Jones catching film for the day. But like, it's nice.
To the scout, saying hi to the scout in the game.
What up, scouts? Watch this.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know? But I mean, it is awesome when you see a guard who needs to have the ball in his hands impact the game in multiple ways instead of it's not just score like Kendrick. That was Kendrick's, you know, when Kendrick was on, like he was in the AAC tournament, it was otherworldly.
Oh, man.
But let's not forget, Kendrick Davis for the first half of last year couldn't shoot a 3 to save his life.
No,
I think he ranked 3rd or 4th on the team in 3-point shooting. At one point, Alex had a higher 3-point shooting field goal percentage than he did. Like he struggled. And as much as I enjoy and loved watching Kendrick play for the Tigers, when Kendrick wasn't shooting the ball well, there wasn't many other ways he could impact the game, right? Like there wasn't just a ton of ways. JQ's not that dude. JQ can, when he's not shooting is not what he does the best. What he does the best is facilitating and playmaking. And it is a joy to watch him play.
Yeah. Amen to that, man. It really is a joy. When he's on, he's on. I'm happy to see him play better basketball. You know, I mentioned this many times before. For me and JQ, it seems just all mental. And you can see when he's locked in and playing with confidence. You know, when he has the turnovers, I don't see the disappointment too much. I see him still being locked in, still playing defense, like being locked in on that side as well. And that's what it's about. Like it's about being committed to just winning basketball and not just individual stuff, and just about trying to do what you can to help win the basketball game. No, he's been much better at that. So
have you ever noticed like, so he's like basically like the quarterback of the team. And that's one of the things that you very rarely see from quarterbacks is them exuding a ton of emotion, right? Like a lot of times they have to be kind of even killed and not get too down because the ball's always in their hands. Right. And that's one of the knocks, I think, as a goofball. That's been a knock that I've had on JQ some this season is I feel like that man's just always cool. Right. Like it's always cool. JQ's fine. Like he doesn't need to be the emotional energy, pump the crowd up kind of guy. He needs to be the tactician, the surgeon, the one it's like take that shotgun, like what's his name in training day and say, I'm a surgeon with this bee. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like a surgeon with this bee. Like take that shotgun of a ball and just be a surgeon with it. It has been awesome to see Naquan step up in that leadership role of being the emotional guy, right? Like that's been crazy cool to me. So
that's what I was about to say. You don't need it from JQ, but you need it from somewhere. You need it from somebody. And Naquan's been that dude. Like he's been Like I love how big his eyes get when the camera flashes to him. At times, those eyes get big. Oh boy, like it's
The funniest
it's
thing
cool.
is when he runs down the court. Have you seen him
Yeah.
when he runs down the court and he's like,
Yeah.
like he's on it? Oh man, dude, it's so funny, man. I love it.
I love it. I love it. He seems to be hitting his stride at the perfect time. I mean, as a two-way player, like he's blocking shots, he's affecting shots at the rim, he's rebounding, he's finishing, he's hitting open threes. Like, good lord, you get 2 threes a game from Naquan Tomlin. That's cherry on top, man. That's awesome. You can get that from him. He's been playing such good basketball. Kenny, I let me ask you really quickly. Everything that's going on with the program, everything that's happening behind the scenes, how much of it do you think will actually affect the Tigers on the floor? Do you think is this a sign that all that noise isn't bothering them? I know it's all speculation, but you still are a very plugged in person. Do you think they'll just keep going?
I think that, again, as the university posted on last Saturday, that they are in the middle of an investigation. And so as when you think about the compliance department at any college, they're little sneaky little buzzards that just kind of, circle around. You don't even know that they're there half the time. I'm just joking. To all my friends in compliance, I'm joking. Y'all aren't buzzards. But so, in terms of the investigation, I'm sure that'll continue to go down. It'll continue to move forward. It definitely seems like what we've seen on the court, that it hasn't been a distraction. Like what do we know about Penny's teams? And for all the things that we've said about Penny in the past and kind of discussed about some of the issues that he has, one of the things that he's really, really good at is never let a good tragedy go wasted, right? Like isn't that the old saying, like never let a good, whatever it is. But you remember the 2021 stop asking me stupid effing questions.
Yeah, of course.
Like most of us in the media room were like, well, oh damn, okay, like is this an unraveling? And it wasn't, because Penny utilized it and it galvanized his team and they went on a run, right? Like they went on a pretty hefty run after that. I don't know if this is the same kind of situation, but I'll say that it looks like to me, based on Penny's prior, situations that he's been involved in, that this team has rallied around their head coach and around each other. And if it takes, listen, man, I get it. If it takes us against a team mentality of us against the media, us against the world, whatever it may be, man, if it brings back some dubs from Fort Worth and gets them into the tournament, man, awesome. Go for it. So, we'll see. I mean, I think this thing is moving and we'll see what happens when the investigation is completed.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Obviously it's out of our control. To bring it back to an article that I wrote for Bluff City Media talking about comparing Penny and Jim Harbaugh, their 10 years at the time. Look, again, I'm a diehard Michigan football fan. Last season was full of distractions, controversy, everything under the sun was thrown at the University of Michigan football program, and they won a national championship.
Is it not wild? Like, you honestly, bro, let me tell you something that's crazy. I'm not a Michigan fan. I am just your average college football fan. I don't know a lot about football. When you started talking about Michigan, do you know what my first thought was? That they won a national championship this year. Do you know what never came to my mind? Was that they were literally embroiled in NCAA investigations the entire year. Jim Harbaugh had to sit out for multiple games. I didn't even think about that, because you know why? Winning cures everything.
Always.
And so, man, as a Tiger fan, as Tiger fans that are in this chat, winning cures all. So let's go after some wins here.
Yep. Amen to that, man. Shout out to Coach Kelly saying Mark Adams was good on the analysis tonight, saying the way the Tigers are playing right now, they are an NCAA tournament team. I mean, it's hard to debate the current status, the way they're currently playing. Yeah, they're good enough to be in the NCAA tournament. It's just a matter of Can they get the automatic bid? And if not, is their resume good enough by in the eyes of a selection committee? But right now, I mean, they're good enough right now to be in the NCAA tournament. There's no question.
Mark Adams is infinitely better at his job than John Crispin. I'll just throw that out
Yes.
there. God,
Yeah.
I want to punch John Crispin in his bespeckled eyes, man. And dumbass glasses. Sorry. My apologies.
That's fair. That's fair. He's
He
kind
says,
of how to say this? He's a loose cannon. Just put it lightly, as a commentator. Put it very lightly,
bro, you're meant to talk about the game, not. He brings up his playing career every freaking time he and I'm like, bro, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, dog. I'm with you.
Hey, welcome back, bro.
I appreciate it.
It's so good to have you back, man.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you a lot. Thank you, Kenny. Everyone in the chat, y'all are fantastic. Y'all are supportive. Y'all are active. Y'all are the best. I always love talking and interacting with all of y'all. The next game Tigers they go at home. They come back home, play UAB. Kenny, give me a prediction before we get out of here.
Let me tell you, bro. Future Tiger Yaxel Lindenborg is what? Did I say that out loud? Oh, my bad. You know them handshake lines, bro. But no, it's gonna be a tough game, man. Obviously, it's at Memphis, so that's a good thing. Memphis very rarely loses inside the FedEx Forum. It's a revenge game. Memphis very rarely loses revenge games. But Yaxel Lindenborg is a problem. Yeah. So, I think they're going to win, but I think they have got to contain. Listen, man, they give up 19 offensive rebounds to a trash ECU team tonight. They are going to have to send everybody to rebound because Yaxel Lindenborg will grab 45 rebounds against this team if they don't actively box him out. So that's good. I mean, listen, I know UAB has played not great for large swaths of this season, but man, that Yaxel Lindenborg dude is nasty. So it'll be a tough game, but I think Memphis pulls it out.
Okay, so giving a close victory to the Tigers. I'll give the Tigers. I think they win. I think they do beat UAB at home, and I think there's just a part of me. I don't think they blow them out, but I think they'll win by like 7. It'll feel there'll be some comfort to the victory. I don't think they'll eke it out at the end.
So double-digit lead with 2 minutes left, and then they kind of hit a couple of threes with like 6 minutes left. Tiger fans weeping and gnashing of teeth, rending of clothing, and laying in ashes, and then they win by 7. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, probably. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. They go to double-digit lead. They commit like 4 turnovers in a minute, and UAB hits all those threes, and they still end up winning by 7. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, they can't close." But
sprinkle in a few David Jones step back threes from 35 feet with 2 minutes left on the clock, and we'll call that the final 5 minutes of the game, and makes it more interesting, right?
Yeah, that's kind of how it always goes. Right. But no, I think they get the dub, and the FAU at FAU. We don't gotta talk about that. It's gonna be big game.
Hostile environment inside the
Owl's Nest,
the Carnival DAC gym.
Oh my!
the Carnival Powell Road Park DeSoto Athletic Club gym.
Yep. Might as well be playing in Lifetime or something. With that.
Hey, listen, if you want to go see the Tigers play, just go to the Lifetime and watch that.
Yeah, that's about it. But anyway, we'll get everyone out of here. Kenny, thank you, brother, for coming on. Is there anything you want to say, plug before we get out of here?
I was proud of you, man. Happy we got in-house counsel now at the at BCM.
Well, much love for you, Kenny. Always much love to everybody in the comments. Thank you, everybody. Be sure to I never said this before, and I should have been, but be sure to like the show on YouTube. Yep. Be sure to subscribe to Bluff City Media on YouTube. Follow Bluff City Media on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Slucka Sports. Everyone, I always appreciate a follow. I'll follow you back. And Until next time, I'll see y'all. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Tigers Live. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next time.